Mythos Busters, investigating the mystery, monsters, and madness of Arkham Horror, the card game.
Hello and welcome to episode 55 of Mythos Busters, where tonight it's going to be nice and tight and cozy with just me and just Ian.
Hello.
Hi, just Ian.
Hi.
Are you a wizard?
Sometimes. That's what people tell me.
So we're kind of kicking back on a Friday night. I've got a little bit of wine. I'm gonna assume Ian is drinking like his old man water.
You know me so well by now.
And we're gonna talk a little bit of Arkham Horror, as you do. So, I guess just to start us off, what have you been playing?
Well,
I know you've been playing a bit of Lord of the Rings. I've seen Tales from the Cards actually pick up a little bit of steam of late.
Actually raised from the dead like a geist. Shows some signs of life. As far as Arkham goes, I missed the last Mythos Busters episode, which is focused on the new investigators. And in that time, I have been playing... I've tried out all of the Circle of Dead investigators, except for Carolyn and Marie, but I have played them previously,
right?
Except for Carolyn's new signatures. So I ran through Circle and Done with, so far, under my belt, I have Solo Joe Diamond, Solo Rita, and two-handed Diana and Preston. So got a sampling of them so far.
Okay. Diana and Preston is my face check campaign right now. So how'd that go for you? I expected us to have a rougher time with the enemies specifically, but we managed to... Yeah, Preston can actually do some work, it turns out, as long as he gets his fire axe.
Yeah. It was... I went into the campaign actually expecting Diana to be the main killer, because, she has guardian access and she has spells, and I just figured that's what she would do. Whereas I figured Preston would handle more of the clues. And so, basically, I've talked on previous episodes about my dreams of making Joey the Rat reality, and he has actually hit my table now. He has been set free from the card box and to actually hit the table.
I mean, Magikarp comes out of the Pokeball, but that's nothing to get excited about.
So I remember when we were doing, what was the show topic? It was underrated cards, I think. And so I picked Joey the Rat as one, potentially going out on a limb. It just needed the right investigator. So, Joey
you
the
mean
Rat...
the one with all the money?
Yep, pretty much that one. So I think, I don't want to go too into it, because we're going to be doing some Preston stuff in this episode, spoiler alert, but... That's
foreshadowing to the fact that Ian's going to sell me hard on putting Joey the Rat.
But basically, I threw Joey the Rat in there and loaded up Preston with a ton of items to get the most out of it. So sometimes I'm dumping 2 or 3 items out on the table. Because the thing about Joey that I never really thought about, because he's been hot garbage before, is that his ability doesn't have a limit. So if you have multiple items to get out, you are saving a couple of actions on a turn. Anyway, that was a long segue just to say that Preston actually ended up being my main killer, and Diana was the main clue getter in some weird reversal. I don't know if that was just a product of how my scenarios turned out, or how the campaign as a whole will end up going, but it was a combination of one, Preston is a monster with fire axe. I'm playing a poor Preston build where he spends all his stuff as soon as he can, and so fire axe is hitting for 2 damage usually. And yeah, he was just axe murdering everything. And on the other hand, Diana can be a decent clover, because Rite of Seeking, she gets decent willpower. And the big one is Drawn to the Flame is kind of toothless with her, because usually she has the cancel cards to deal with whatever encounter card you draw with Drawn to the Flame.
I mean, yeah, a single encounter card is a drop in the bucket to Diana.
Yeah. Sometimes it's feeding her machine, basically, because it gives you a chance to use whenever it cancels or whatnot. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think first of all, I think we now know what the eventual sequel to Hobo with a Shotgun will be. It's definitely going to be Millionaire with a Fire Axe.
Sure.
And second, it's funny that you're telling that story now, because last time we talked, you were talking about how you had your, was it Agnes and Min campaign through Return, and how they were more specialized, and you know, it's tough to gauge how things are going to come out and in what order, so Agnes ended up not doing a whole lot. I think what you experienced is just the flexibility that comes with playing two flexible investigators two-handed.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes it's just a matter of like who is getting their stuff out and what kind of stuff they're, because I have both clue and like fighting stuff in both decks. Well, the fighting stuff in Preston basically is his axe and not much else. But
I mean, what else do you need?
But sometimes it's just a matter of what comes up. Like if Preston's fire axe is coming up and Diana's shrivelings are not, or her weapons, then they're. So I think it's just a matter of how they flex. But we'll see.
Yep. No, go ahead.
Well, I did want to talk about Rita, but I'll let you share your play experiences first.
Oh, no, go on. You missed last episode. You have your right to rebuttal now.
So
I'm ready for you.
So I did listen to the episode, and I heard some disparaging comments about Rita from my co-hosts.
I was guilty by association there. I'm just confused by her.
Sure. I will say I'm sad that Scott and Nick aren't here, because it was less so you and more so them. And so I was looking forward to having that argument. But
no, now you get to have it with them being silent, just like they had it with you being silent. So
sure.
Turnabout's fair play here.
And I will say I don't have like a ton of experience with Rita. I mean, it's basically one solo campaign so far. But
so okay. So I think one of the biggest points that we talked about is just and this is where I'm confused, is just like, what does she do? She has a tough time traditionally fighting. Mm-hmm. She has a tough time traditionally investigating. She can evade and scoot away from an enemy, but like what's a good Rita turn look like?
A good Rita turn is really well,
sorry, I didn't warn you that you're going to be walking into a job interview today.
I know. Describe to me your day. A day in the life of Rita. Well,
why don't you describe a skill check you took and at least 4 down and how it went for you?
I mean, I think it's really leveraging her movement that pretty much no one else can match how fast she can get across the board. So it's...
So she's faster than Ursula definitively, huh?
Well, let me caveat that by saying once you have to get track shoes on the board, so I do recommend hard mulliganing for track shoes. Like Scott has joked before about that being her actual signature, and it's not really a joke; it's true. So hard mulligan,
better than a signature because you can take 2.
Yes, yeah, and it's basically kind of the foundation of her build, like in both solo and multiplayer, I would say. So. It's not that I would go out and venture and say Rita is like better than other investigators or even necessarily like a top tier, but I think she holds her own. She's just doing it in a different way. She's managing enemies in a different way. The pinging of 1 damage is I thought when I first played Rita that I would end up using her move from evading more, but I actually ended up using the damage ping more. And so kind of what ends up happening is that, say you evade, because you have to anyway, you put a damage on an enemy, then you're moving around the board to do stuff, like gather clues, and then when you circle back around to that enemy, you end up evading them again, and ping them for a damage, and take out that enemy if it has like 2 health. So it's...
So it's more of a stiff arm paradigm.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I feel like her pace and the way she plays is different than other investigators. Like another example is because she has low intellect with a lot of investigators in solo, it's pretty much just this constant pace of like move, investigate, move, investigate, move, investigate, and you kind of take what comes, because one thing you don't want to do in solo is burn a lot of actions like scouting ahead and moving back and backtracking. But with her, with track shoes, I basically was in the first scenario of, actually in both scenarios of TCU, I was like moving ahead and basically trying to cherry pick the lower shroud locations, because I didn't have to worry as much about like burning actions on moving. So if I saw a 4-1, I'm like, well, just keep moving on. Let's look for a 3 or 2 shroud location, basically.
Okay. So, I mean, and I, as you were talking about this, and I'm reading the chat as well, and someone pointed out that, yeah, the bow is really good. So I want to take us down a rabbit hole here.
Sure.
Let's see how deep this one goes. Because I think what I do a lot, and what I have been doing with Rita, admittedly, is sort of over-focusing on the shortcomings of the level 0 build without really any regard to what the deck ends up looking like with some amount of XP. Do you ever do that? Is that a thing?
Yeah, I think there's a tendency in general, maybe it's just on our podcast, but I think in general, I see a lot of times everyone kind of narrows in on the level 0 build of every investigator, because that's just the kind of starting point, without really playing out like how different... Because I think we could do a whole rating system of not every investigator that's like really good level 0 necessarily maintains that relative power when they level up.
True.
So like take someone like Ashcan. He's really good level 0, and when you level him up, yeah, he gets better, but does his level up increase his power more than other investigators?
No,
I don't think so.
Like one of the best Ashcan builds out there right now takes like 9 XP.
Right. Yeah. So
I bring that up because it's something I just am kind of realizing as we go through these investigators, and why I kind of start maybe a little bit more, not necessarily sour, but a little bit more doubting on some of them, and end up warming up, because eventually when you kind of see what a deck can do with some experience, it changes it. So I'm gonna make a personal effort to kind of take that more into account when we talk about investigators, because like just someone pointing out like, oh, she can take the bow, like everyone, like that was enough for me to go, oh, okay, well she's okay. There's a thing that she can do.
And I guess the other part of the Rita equation is that I tend to value evade quite highly, as I've said in the in our podcast over and over again, because I feel like the opposing argument is always that, well, it doesn't permanently take care of the enemy, but the thing is, sometimes you don't need to always take care of the enemy. Sometimes it's actually more efficient to, like, you have a 4 health enemy, I can spend 1 action to evade and never have to worry about him again because I move out, versus like 2 or maybe 3 actions because I'm missing. Like, and I'm not saying the opposite, that evade is better. It's the long, hard, the long fought path. The long, I don't know. You guys know what I'm going for there. Versus the quick and easy path. So it's the light side versus the dark side. So the dark side is evading. Sure, I'll take that as the rogue.
So there's merit. There's definitely merit.
And also, I think in solo, evade is underrated, but I also think in multiplayer too, that I think sometimes it's easy to underrate how important sometimes it is to turn off that retaliate on enemies, to allow for like clearing paths through evading things that aren't otherwise possible. And
everyone can kind of relax their butt cheeks a little bit once that retaliate enemy is evaded.
Right, yeah.
Just in general.
Yeah. And I don't know, I think there's some space in Rita that I haven't explored yet, because I haven't played her multiplayer yet, but I will be playing her in Iron Man, so I'm already starting to think about these things. But some of the traps, some of the cards like Lure and Survivor that I haven't really looked at much, like, suddenly become a little interesting when you can move as quickly as Rita can, especially with track shoes, and maybe like pull enemies in certain directions.
Okay. So Ghostbird brings up an interesting question here. Who do you think is kind of at the top of the list of good partners for Rita?
Well, the one I'm gonna say is the one that Nick shit on me for when I suggested it in my
that's
chat.
because it's a non fucking answer, Ian. But go ahead.
So my first thought was Joe Diamond.
Oh yeah, because Joe Diamond's bad somewhere, I'm sure.
No, but there's actually a specific TCU reason for it. It wasn't just because Joe Diamond is good. And without spoiling too many of the mechanics, like, Joe is fantastic. He's amazing. He is a top tier investigator in my opinion, but he does have weaknesses that we shouldn't ignore. Like, especially in TCU, like the low will and the low agility can hurt. And like, that happens to be areas that Rita can actually help out with and do some evading and handle some things that Joe might have trouble with.
What's that level 3 survivor card that discards a treachery from something?
Alter Fate, I think.
Alter Fate.
Yeah.
Where does that work on stuff in threat areas, or does it have to be attached to something?
I'm pretty sure it's threat areas. Yeah. I think it's anything on the board.
That seems pretty aight.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely something like that. She could take. And I guess besides Joe Diamond, who would be a good seeker?
No, just who would be a good partner. I'm not going to limit you to seekers.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't even know if a seeker would be her best partner necessarily. Like, in my mind, a good Rita partner would be someone who can flex both. Like, I think you could do a Rita Diana. You could do a Rita.
Oh, now you're speaking to me.
You could
but again, Diana's another one where she, like, you can build her around whoever her partner is. So
sure,
it's a good thing. So maybe that's the kind of investigator that works best with Rita, one that can flex so that she can kind of extend herself in her odd little directions, and it's actually worthwhile to everyone.
Yeah, because Rita is going to flex Clue too. I was really worried about her 2 intellect, especially in solo. But with Gravedigger's Shovel, sometimes I'm playing it 3 times a game because I can recur it with Resourceful. And then Flashlight, a lot of uses out of that. Just standard stuff you would expect, like what I found. Survivor is probably best positioned to make up for 2 intellect.
That's accurate. I'd say that's probably accurate. Maybe Mystic, but then again,
sure,
you run into those times where that's just absolutely not true.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. Well, kind of pivoting off of what you were talking about with Rita for TFA, I have, of course, I've been playing a lot of Diana in and among my other things, but I've been trying to hone my high multiplayer count, like, protection mage Diana, and trying to figure out, like, how much support is too much support. You know, what does she actually need to be able to do? Like, does she actually be able, need to be able to scoop up a few clues or really help with some of the enemies, and kind of like where that all fits. So that's been interesting to negotiate. I think I do have a level 29 standalone that I think is running pretty well, and this deck and Joe Diamond have both really kind of made me come around to the tarot cards. What's your experience been with the tarot cards?
I have to say my experience is none, because I have yet to use them yet. But that could be a product of the investigators I've been running and just what I've upgraded to first. I'm not necessarily opposed to them.
Yeah. I've been using I have to say, the main ones I've been using, the only ones I've been using, are Death, 13, and the Ace of Swords. Can't remember what the number is on that one, but it's the intellect and the combat boost. So surprise, surprise, having more of that is good.
Yeah, I do want to give a try to Calvin with some of the new cards in the tarots to see how it goes.
Yeah. All right. Well,
what are you using for Diana multiplayer? Are you leaning her towards clues or
leaning her toward enemy management? So when I think about support, I think about helping other people do their thing, and primarily what the thing that we want done is clue gathering. So I figure, like, if you're going to err in any direction, it's just pulling enemies off of the people who need to be doing other things, right? So let me... Oh, that's the wrong account. That's why it's not there. Yeah, so I've gone through a couple iterations with this one. Right now, I'm running Survival Knife and Time Worn Brand in the hand slots.
Interesting.
And then going Guard Dog and Ace of Swords. So kind of running her a little bit, well, a lot bit more Guardian. The only spell I have in this deck is two Mists of Aurelia to, just disable enemies when need be, scoot around. I've got double Premonition, Storm of Spirits.
That's not a surprise.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're going support, there's nothing better than slapping down a Premonition before someone's about to take a really important test and just be like, all right, there you go, dog.
Yeah.
Let me line that shot up for you. And then Delay the Inevitable was the one I kind of expected that I'd want more of. Right now I have 2 Dodge and 1 Delay the Inevitable. I think I might flippy-flop that around because Delay the Inevitable in multiplayer is really fun when you can just send someone off to a big enemy attack knowing that they're going to be fine. Mm-hmm. Or, again, Diana just trying to pull things off of people, running double let me handle this, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I'm happy with this one so far. I don't know if it's maximized, but I think I at least have laid good groundwork for next year.
Yeah, I have to say I've been enjoying Diana a lot as well, and one of the things I liked is I was running Alyssa as my ally, and so for Delay the Inevitable, I could kind of peek ahead and see, because she's the lead in that campaign. I could see what she's gonna get and whether Delay the Inevitable is gonna make sense, or whether I need to use it this turn, or kind of makes it easier.
Look at
to
you,
set up.
mysticking hard even in multiplayer.
I've really, really fallen in love with Alyssa lately, so yeah.
That's because she's amazing. You kind of... I did this with Lord of the Rings, too, is you just kind of forget the power that the unknown has in the encounter deck until you start filing those teeth down a little bit with the few cards that we have. Mm-hmm. As soon as you know what you're going to draw, it just makes a turn different.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, moving on from there, so you guys know how, and you guys, I'm actually talking just to Ian and I suppose everyone in Discord. You guys know how at the end of the episode I get really rambly and my brain has shut down from 2.5 hours of recording and my little goodbye just trails off into the ether.
Yes.
Well, I'm kind of over that. So what I'm going to do now, from now on, is as we do our check-ins, I'm just going to do a content update, a content check-in, what else we've been doing on Mythos Busters. So,
sure.
By the time this episode is released, hopefully the next installment of Look What I Found will have also been released on the regular content stream. Mm-hmm. So this is what we're calling our spoiler reveal stream episode deluxe quest things that we're doing every time we get a spoiler for a new episode. So we just got one for the secret name. Mm-hmm. Go check it out on YouTube, or like I said, check it out on the podcast stream if you haven't already. And look forward to... Oh, shoot, I've already forgotten. What's the next Mythos pack?
Wages of Sin, I believe.
Check out the Wages of Sin when we get another spoiler, hopefully. Mm-hmm. Yep. Tuesday Night Arkham stream had the week off last week due to... or not last week, 2 weeks ago, due to some just poor scheduling. And our next stream should be on the 5th. But I'm willing to bet this episode won't be released by then, so that would make the next one on March 19th. Join us on Twitch. Follow us if you'd like to be notified when we go live.
Sean was playing Red Dead Redemption instead.
No, I've beat Red Dead Redemption, man.
Yeah, I know you have. I'm jealous.
I can't... No, though, it actually might have been that night that I beat it. Now I'm not so sure. What's going on with Abandoned and Alone?
It's been abandoned. No, I've just been super busy, and so I hope to get back to it soon. I'm considering maybe I might do some late night installments. Might be a little bit easier to swing those. So yeah, we'll see. I definitely want to get Carcosa finished within the month of March. So I have what?
That's ambitious.
3 more scenarios to go. Is that? Let's see.
You did Phantom, right?
Yeah, so Catacombs,
Pallid Mask, Black Stars Rise, and Lost Carcosa.
Yeah.
Or Dim Carcosa.
Yeah, 3 more. So I think it's doable. So, yeah.
I mean, unless you're
Stay
going to side
tuned.
quest over to like Venice or down to the Bayou.
No, I already took on Solo Carolyn. I think
That's true.
I think that's enough.
All right, and then I think one of the last updates would be that the Miskatonic AV Club continues forward. Scott hopped on for a few episodes a few packs into TFA with Mr. Trench or Casey in our chat. Hey, Casey. So go check those out on YouTube, and those should be following within the next while on the Miskatonic RSS feed. Go subscribe to that if you want to hear some card reviews. Yeah. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, this isn't so much like a content update, but for those of you who are on our Discord, maybe don't use it that often or have never tried our Discord, we've had some upgrades to the Discord recently that have made it just kind of a really good tool outside of the social aspect. Diana Standbot came back, and she came back with a fury. So huge thanks to Dr. Jack Science the username of the gentleman who revamped Diana Standbot for us, and she is a great tool for looking up cards, looking up FAQ entries. We also have a fantastic rules discussion chat channel anyway. So anyway, my whole point being, if you haven't checked out our Discord yet, I would encourage you to do so. It's a great little community. I love the people here. This is pretty much the only social media I have left is our Discord, just because it's the one little bastion on the internet that has remained a sane place.
Yeah, it's definitely like if there's a pie chart of my social media, Discord is probably like a 90% chunk or something like that these days.
So anyway, if you're interested in checking that out, or just catching these episodes live if you feel like doing such a thing, you can check us out at the Discord. The address for the invite is discord.me/mythosbusters. Okay, so moving on to business. First things first, we have to announce contest winner. Yeah. So the meme contest, as mentioned last time, we got just a butt ton of entries, and it is a fantastic album to surf through. So if you haven't checked it out, we have it out on the Arkham Horror subreddit and on our page on Facebook. So, I suppose without further ado, we'll just dive into it here. The winner of the actual Arbitz tokens, due to getting the highest number of internet points on Facebook, is Climbable Fungus, or Colin. So that was the unfaithful boyfriend one that we mentioned last time, where it's Father Mateo.
Yeah.
Looking back at stealing the Elder Sign, and his girlfriend is the general well-being, or sorry, the benefit and general well-being of your fellow investigators. I'd hit the tippy tops of the list and is hilarious. So, Colin, go ahead and email us, and we'll get those tokens out in the mail to you.
Congrats.
So from there, though, we want to name a runner-up because we get to pick a personal favorite here, too, and that's just what's happening. So I did mention last time that there was a little bit of format static. I guess I don't know how else to describe it, where the GIFs that people created were not allowed in the actual Facebook album, which just kind of makes it hard to put it on even ground. But over on the Reddit, where things were on even ground, the clear winner there was Jake, who did both the No Country for Old Men gifts and the Neo stopping all the autofail token gifts, which were just
those are both
just
amazing.
so good. So Jake, just DM me after the show, and we'll figure out what prizes we have that you'll be interested in. We've got a few things.
We have that
secrets.
We have that Mythos Buster swimsuit calendar and all kinds of good stuff.
Lots of chaos tokens in suggestive places. All right. No, but we're abandoning that one right now. So thanks again to everyone who entered. Always fun to do those sorts of things, and I hope it was enjoyable even if you did not win, and probably more so if you did. So yeah, and thanks again to Arbitz for providing those tokens to us to give away. So Ian, did you have a personal favorite meme among them?
That is tough. I think The one that always makes me laugh as a meme in general is the "I'm gonna pay you $100 to fuck off." Because I feel like that's one that speaks to my heart as someone who plays a lot of evade and investigators and rogues. So,
yep. And the Joker one, yeah, Jeff pointed out his favorite was the Joker one. That one was really good too. I'm a big fan of that meme in particular, just the format. And that one was like, draw a -6 on a test and no one bats an eye. Draw one auto fail and everyone loses their minds.
The autofill has a special power.
It sure does. All right, excellent. So, moving on from there, Ian, what patron news do we have?
As always, thanks to everyone who supports us on Patreon. Special thanks to our board members, Chris, Cyclos, Alex, Ian, and Dave. And we should be opening up some more slots on our board soon, so look out for that if you're interested. Because our board members get copies of our special event, like Gen Con swag, sent to them, even if they can't make it. Which, it's hard for everyone to make Gen Con. Special shout out.
Yes, it is. I barely want to go anymore.
I feel very fortunate that I think I did the math and this is like now I'm forgetting what it is. But it's something ridiculous. I thought this was going to be like my 5th Gen Con or something, and it's like 6 or 7 for me. But
wow.
Yeah.
I mean, what, since 2012, 2011? I can't math.
Say 2013 was probably the first one I ever went to.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would have been the year before I went. So yeah, I'm coming up on, 4 or 5? I don't know. It's a lot.
Yeah. I always wonder when the streak is going to end, but hopefully not soon. Special shout out to a random patron this time is to Jeff Sylvester. Thanks for supporting us. We do have a new job title this time around, because we have a new patron at that level, which is Joe Barlow. Joe Barlow has a new job title at Mythos Busters offices, which is Director of Twin Suns Lighting and Media Productions. So
he's got big shoes to fill from the last guy who wore that yellow robe.
Yeah. I think he's working on the director's cut of The King in Yellow right now. Something like that. Special edition.
They can't seem to make it past Act 2.
All the deleted scenes. And finally, just another reminder that we're aiming for our event, our special Mythos Busters event at Gen Con to be Saturday at 1 p.m. We, of course, don't have that officially confirmed yet. But for now, just keep that in your back pocket, tattoo it on your forehead, remember it, try to keep it free when it comes time to register for events.
Oh, that ask escalated quickly.
People have different needs as far as remembering, so.
It's true. I stick with the mnemonic devices, but if tattooing is your thing, go for it. All right, excellent. And then, of course, After Dark.
Yes, and as always, we end Gen Con on Saturday night at the Slippery Noodle, our good friends there who host us every year for the past 4 years? Something like that?
Yeah, wow.
And yeah, so we have a big event, people from the Arkham Horror community, people from the Lord of the Rings LCG community, and we gather, we play games, we drink, we mess around, we do rituals, that kind of thing. It'll be fun, so definitely come. It's the best way to end Gen Con, in my opinion.
Okay, so moving on to community highlights, we have a special one this week that I was very tickled by. Listener and friend of the show, going by the username A1 Mr. Sun, he said he participates in kind of like the songwriting equivalent of what's the writing one that everyone shortens and it's got a really annoying nickname?
Yeah, I can never remember the full acronym.
Nani Nemo Ro or something like that.
Uh-huh.
So it's the songwriting equivalent of that, and this year he decided to do a song based on City of Archives from Arkham Horror, the card game. So it's called "The Body of Aethian," and it's hilarious. So go check it out on Bandcamp. We'll have the link to this in the show notes if you want to click right there. But again, A1, Mr. Sun, Body of a Yithian. It's a short little song, fun little guitar riff. And it's just cool to, it's portents of our musical episode, right? Like, it just got me excited to see that sort of energy out there.
Yeah, definitely guaranteed to get stuck in your head. I think I'm going to be singing that during Iron Man when we're playing City of Archives this year.
All right. So, Ian, what news have we today?
We have no news, just a tumbleweed rolling through the desert so far. But I'm not really complaining because we've been blessed with a lot of news lately. So next time.
So we'll expect like the Gen Con scenario, the return to Carcosa, and the next pack to be announced next week, right?
Sure. Yeah, probably Monday or Tuesday we'll get something, I'm sure.
All right, I have prophesied.
That was your premonition.
It was. Scott, what rules have... Oh, no. That's not happening this week.
No.
Okay, so we're moving then into our main topic. Oh my god, guys, I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to jinx it. This might be our fabled 90-minute episode. We're into the main topic at 40 minutes.
Yeah, it could be. It could be our shortest episode yet.
So, Ian, why don't you intro what we're doing today? Because it's crazy and fun, and I just want to giggle in the background.
Sure. So, we thought we'd do a deck build this time around with one of the new TCU Circle and Done Gators. But this time we wanted to do something a little different. And this kind of circles back around to something we're talking about earlier in this episode about how a lot of times focus gets placed on level 0. And even in our own episodes, I think all of our deck builds have been for level 0, if I'm remembering right. And so kind of two things came to a head. One is we were like, we should do... Which Gator should we do? We should do Preston because he is the most, like, just blows your mind, wrinkles your brain, trying to wrap your head around how to build for him.
I think our consensus was that we do the community the most service by shedding any amount of light on how to tackle Preston.
Accurate. And potentially has the most kind of builds. I don't want to sell the other TCU Gators short because they are interesting too, but Preston is an odd duck. And then the other side of the equation was that we said, well, to really see what Preston can do, let's turn up the heat and let's build a leveled up version let's move beyond level 0 and see what he can do when he's really let loose. In fact, let's go all the way up to 49 XP.
Yeah!
And see what a balls to the wall, full out Preston deck can do. So that's what we're going to build today.
We're building the Preston deck you always wanted to build, but were afraid to try because of the weaknesses.
Yep. So this would be like something for standalone, although I guess you could also use it as like a rough guide of how you wanted to level up your deck in a campaign or something. But more so, we're like looking at a standalone type deck.
Backing down from a 49 card, 49 XP deck is a little bit of a different animal.
Yes, agreed.
All right, so that said, what does Preston do? We've already kind of talked about it. My experience leads me to believe that he's kind of hard flex. And that he's just kind of... His rogue access leaves him very oddly mobile.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much his rogue access, so much as it is his access to the card elusive.
Sure. And I think... Yeah, I think it's hard for me to imagine, like, you could build, like, a killer-focused Preston or a clue-focused Preston, but I feel like you're better served going flex, because I think that's what Preston gives to you, right, with his ability to have so much money, is the fact that he can kind of roll with the punches, pay his way out of situations, and to me that means that you want to kind of build lots of different types of options in your deck and not just like set him on one path.
Okay. So then I think... Oh, okay, and actually maybe you're better positioned to answer whether this is even a thing, but Do you feel like you have to choose whether you go like, hey, I'm going to run a high curve deck and just be good because I play expensive cards all the time? Or do you go like the Smaug route where I'm going to just accumulate a ton of resources and benefit off of having a ton of resources?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the decision you have to make right off the bat, is whether you're going to go for hoarding your money or the kind of Preston that just spends it every turn, or as much as possible. So I think that's the first decision.
So let's outline the cards that benefit from either build.
Mm-hmm.
The hoarding money, we've got the new cards will always get me.
Money Talks.
Money Talks, thank you. And... So that is the one where you turn a test into a resource test.
Mm-hmm. And well
connected.
Mm-hmm.
Although, I mean, okay, so then I ask the question whether or not this is even a thing. Like, even if we decide, like, hey, I'm going to try to sit on 10 resources at some point in this game, even if you went the other way with it, do you think you still take Money Talks and well connected?
That's a tough one. I'm not sure about like higher count multiplayer because I've only been playing them two-handed, and I found I included those cards, and because I was running like a hard Fire Axe and Joey the Rat like spam stuff out, I wasn't ending up with enough resources to really make either of those cards worth it, so I actually ended up cutting them.
Okay.
I'm not saying that's necessarily what every like spendy build has to do, but
sure.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I think we might be a little without a specific focus going into this one. So when you're building for standalone and you don't necessarily have like a specific thing that you're building for, what I like to do is just figure out my XP cards first. Like what am I going to want to buy and combo together, and then I kind of fill out the rest.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start there. So 100% Streetwise, right?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. So going down the assets here, adaptable, nothing for standalone.
Right.
Borrowed Time. I mean, that definitely is a rogue build that you can do, but you kind of have to lean into the extra action things, which I feel like is not necessarily what we're looking for, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure about Borrowed Time. Like, I feel like when I'm playing Preston, it's a lot of like setting up for these bomb particular actions, but not so much spamming like a bunch of actions in one turn like a Skids or someone would do, or a Finn.
Okay. So we'll pass on that one then. Cat Burglar for a potential ally. How do you feel about Cat Burglar in Preston?
It's interesting in Preston, just that it lets them get out of trouble, but I think in a multiplayer, I probably wouldn't, just because there's other allies I would probably take.
Okay, so let's stop prevaricating about the bush here, as one Mr. Wallace would say. Lola Santiago would be the other one you're talking about, right?
Yeah, that would be a 2-up for me.
Okay, I'm of the same mind there. So two key of ease, yes.
2 key of ease. Oh, you got the neutrals going too.
That just happened to be above Lola. I'm kidding. I'm on a key of ease, personal key of ease ban. Not judging anyone else who likes to play it, but that's just one of those cards you can just throw in any deck and it's good.
Sure. Yeah.
So we're gonna leave it out.
Okay.
Charisma. Do you think there's a need for multiple allies in this sort of build? If so, what other allies would you be looking for?
I'm gonna say yeah.
Okay.
But it also depends on what we're doing here too. Like, if we're going the Horde build, then someone like Dario might be on the table, or Leah DeLuca, so that we can use our extra actions to transfer money over from Family Inheritance to Preston. If not, then Jory the Rat is an option. Or
oh boy! All right, well, I knew that was coming. Boy, you slid it in there sideways, but
as you do.
Okay, so I'll put in a charisma. I've got 2 level 1 Leo DeLucas, and we'll get to level 0s.
Sure.
Hired muscle, I assume we're going to pass on, and treasure hunter. Like, the cool thing about those allies is that, Preston can pay for them for days, but you kind of want... I find the best way to work with Preston's particular kit is that you want things that help you burst up to skill levels, not necessarily... The static boosts don't do as much, I don't think.
Right. Or giving you, Tesla stuff, but treasure hunter and hired muscle don't necessarily do that.
Okay. So leveled up hard knocks. So it probably bears asking, do we need any other skill boosters outside of Streetwise? Do you think we should grab something for willpower? We have a few options there. Not hard knocks not being one of them, but
right, yeah. I say no to hard knocks because we don't need the combat boost probably. I'm kind of inclined just to tank the willpower test, but
okay. And I think when you build standalone, you generally kind of assume multiplayer, right? If not high count multiplayer, at least 2 to 3 player.
Right, yeah.
At least I do. I guess maybe that's just more my own personal play habits. When I'm building standalone, I'm headed to a meetup.
Yeah. I mean, we do have Moxie as a potential option if we wanted to boost Will, but...
Yeah, and we do have access to a test of Will. Okay, all right, so let's leave that out for now. Here's an interesting one. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about High Roller in Preston? This one gets more complicated with Preston.
Mm-hmm.
And for anyone who doesn't have this memorized, that's the rogue asset that lets you spend 3 resources to get +2 for a skill boost, and if you succeed, you gain 3. The complication there being, when you gain those 3, they automatically go back on the family inheritance and will wipe by the end of the turn if you don't use them. So it's a different value proposition, I feel.
Yeah, I
think it makes it a step too tenuous, personally.
I feel like at least my experience has been so far that I'm leaning hard on Streetwise and Preston, and it tends to get me where I want to go. Again, I am playing a very spendy build, though, that's just like, okay, yeah, I'll blow 4 on Streetwise or whatever, or 6, and it's not a big deal.
Sure.
So, in those cases, High Roller isn't as meaningful. So, I would say maybe circle back around to that one.
Okay. How about a Lucky Dice? It's not a bad way to spend 2 resources, right?
Sure, yeah. You can always take it out if we need to.
We don't have anything competing for the accessory slot yet, so we'll see how that rolls.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so skip over Moxie because we're not looking for other stat boosts. Got Streetwise. Suggestion, I'm going to assume no. How about Gold Pocket Watch?
It's very high XP, but we also are going 49. So
it's a very easy cut if we're like at 70 XP when we're done here.
Right. So I would say throw it in there for now, and especially in like 3 or 4 player, Gold Pocket Watch is never unwelcome.
How do you feel about the Red Gloved Man in Preston? I find myself running the Red Gloved Man less and less nowadays. I was really big on him when he first came out, but
yeah, I haven't touched the Red Gloved Man in quite some time. And here, let's see. I have to even remind myself of what he does. So you choose 2 skills. I mean, it'd be useful. Again, it's just a matter of like those ally slots. We do have charisma, but I don't know. I would probably skip over it, I think.
Sure. Yeah, I feel like Red Gloved Man by himself is not something you do. You have to have something else going on, like you're Yorick.
Yeah. It's you really are running stuff to get the full value out of the Red Gloved Man.
All right. So then moving on from there, the Moon, which would be our Rogue Tarot. I'm gonna guess no because we're kind of not as much on the small static boosts.
Yeah.
Skeleton Key.
I do like that for. I do like skeleton key for
I
multiplayer.
for multiplayer and for Lola Santiago purposes.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure. It's bomb with Lola.
All right, we already skipped over Treasure Hunter. Okay. Ace in the Hole?
Okay, move it over. We are sitting at a nice 30 XP so far. Ace in the Hole. Again, it's another one like the Golden Pocket Watch that I'm always happy to see. So I think we can throw it in, although I have a suspicion we might take it out.
Sure. I'm assuming we're going to skip over both levels of quiche. How about Hot Streak? Do you think you look at Hot Streak? Do you need? I mean, you don't need Burst Economy in Preston, do you?
Yeah, again, that depends on if we're going to do the Horde build. Because, I feel like the Horde build, you really want to get up there quickly as you can. Otherwise, you're doing a lot of turns of, of swapping family inheritance over to your investigator card while the rest of your team is just kind of staring at you, not doing anything. So I feel like Hot Streak in that build can be useful.
Okay, 2 Hot Streaks. I'll put in the level 4 version even.
Sure. And then if we decide we're gonna go,
if need
be.
Sure gamble? Like I'm seeing sneak attack and kind of going meh.
Yeah, I like that it's Tesla's damage for Preston, but I mean it is good in multiplayer. It is. I just don't know whether we're gonna have the XP to afford it. Probably.
Okay. So, how about Sure Gamble? Is Sure Gamble something you only take in those rogue decks where you're compressing big things into single actions and you just need to make it succeed?
In general, yeah. I think the thing it does for Preston is it's because most Chaos tokens have a negative modifier, so basically Sure Gamble is just pass this test is kind of what Sure Gamble does as a card. Sure. Especially for someone like Preston who has low stats. So it's potentially I think I did upgrade to 1 in Preston, I think, actually.
Okay. I'll throw 1 in there.
Okay.
I'd throw 2 in, but I know I'm going to cut at least 1, so I'll cut out the middleman there.
Yeah.
Okay. So how about All In? So with Preston, you can just go to bonkers level of a specific skill. Like you could just go to 15 on an investigate test and draw 5 cards.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. You can, with Streetwise and other stuff, you could definitely kind of ensure you get those 5 card max.
So I'm thinking, okay, so I'd like this deck to have card draw. I feel like rogues do way better when they have their combo pieces.
Sure.
So I feel like we either commit to All In or we look at the other really good rogue card draw. Oh, God. A Lucky Cigarette Case.
We go All In or... Ghostbird in the chat is mentioning Take Heart. I do really like Take Heart for card draw in Preston. I'm using that in my build currently. Because he's good at not succeeding. If you want him to.
It's true. It's true.
So I'm not against All In. It's just a lot of XP, but
No, we're already at 47, so I'll abstain.
Sure.
Switching over to Survivor cards.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going backward from skill here, just because I'm lazy. Stroke of Luck. It's actually pretty good in standalone.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, do you want to pass a test?
Yeah.
Here you go.
And it doesn't care about what your stats are. Yeah. We can throw it in and take it out if we want to.
Sure.
I'm fine with that.
Survival Instinct will pass.
Yep.
Chance Encounter, not really doing anything with allies like that. Test of Will, I want to put a Test of Will in there in standalone. That seems just super okay.
Especially since he doesn't have any will to test.
Yes. Against All Odds is actually not a bad pull in Preston, again, just because of his low base, but I feel like, unlike Calvin, where sometimes you're just taking tests and praying to God you might pass, like, with Preston, you're kind of trying to constantly set yourself up for success, right?
Right, yeah. Yeah.
So maybe not as good.
I don't think so.
Okay. Close call, Devil's Luck, meh. Flare. Yeah. Lucky.
Sure.
Couple level 2 lucky.
Sure. Always default to a good level 2 lucky.
Level 2 oops. It's possible he will fail a fight test by 3 or more. Or 3 or less.
It is. It definitely
It's also possible that it might be 3 or more.
So you deal that damage to any enemy at your location if the attacked enemy is engaged. This attack deals no damage to that investigator. My temptation is to pass it by. I like what it's doing, but
Okay.
I don't know. I just don't think we're gonna have the XP for it.
Casey's looking he's railing real hard for Flare. Which, I feel like getting a 2-cost Leo DeLuca is not terrible. I'll put Flare in there and we'll see if we cut it.
Sure.
Because we're already at 57 experience, so. Moving to assets, I don't think there's much we want to look at here. Probably not Yaudle.
I totally forgot that Flare lets you look at any investigator's deck. I'm so gonna do that the next time I have a Flare.
How about the 5 of Pentacles? That's the tarot that gives you +1 health and +1 sanity. Have you found yourself running close to the line on Preston very often, or is he slippery enough that he's okay?
I have not had a big problem with it because the build I'm running has been running a combination of Cheris Keepsake and Joey the Rat is actually a really good soak, and in addition to his other fine qualities.
I mean,
and
I hear you on Joey the Rat. We'll get there.
Basically, I have not had huge problems with health and sanity so far.
Joey the Rat's like that friend that your other friends are trying to introduce to the friend group, and it's just not sticking, but they keep bringing him up.
Yeah, he's a great guy, I swear.
Hi, Matt. Yeah, I suppose there's a little bit of flaw in my logic. And let's do 49 experience and add more card draw. Maybe we're okay dialing back on that a little bit.
I feel like I'm kind of a glutton when I'm running a 49 XP deck. Maybe glutton's not the right word, but I like to get my weaknesses out of the way early. So I'm like, draw, and hopefully get some of those weaknesses out early.
Yeah, but see, that in 49 XP, there's still plenty to come.
They like to pace themselves, spread themselves out.
The best you can hope is that you proportionally draw yourself more good things in your draws than the bad things set you back. Like, that's all you can hope.
Yeah, the worst than 49... I mean, there's a lot of bad weaknesses, but Amnesia, when it's like, oh, so you have a handful of high XP cards. It'd be a shame if someone discarded all those. Wasn't it Casey at Arkham Knights that happened to, I want to say?
That sounds
right. I think his hand got dumped of like 20 worth of XP or something by Amnesia. Oh,
gross.
Man.
Was that during our Return to Zealot run?
I think it was a game they had going before we got there, if I remember right.
Oh, okay. Okay, so anyway, returning to
Yes.
upgraded Survivor assets, I'm really not seeing anything here. Quina, I mean, like, Cornered is alright, but I feel like you kind of have to be building for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd look at Dig Deep if we wanted to do anything with willpower, but we don't.
No.
I think we can kind of skip through most of this.
Yeah, I would.
Okay, so let's shave down our XP then.
Okay, we have 59
So-
XP.
So if we're going for the Horde, I sit on money, Preston. I think.
So we're going. So is that what we decided? We're going Horde.
right? Is that what we decided? Let's go with that. I decided now.
I'm fine with that because my experience has solely been with Spendy Preston. So
okay, me too. So we're in equally uncharted territory here.
Okay, so let's keep that in mind.
Okay, so either Lucky Dice or Gold Pocket Watch has to go. I think Gold Pocket Watch is a pretty easy cut here. Lucky Dice may get cut too, but I'm more comfortable with that in a Preston that sits on a ton of resources, because spending 2 to redraw a token is not that big a deal.
Yeah. If we were going the Spendy Joey the Rat build, then I would want to keep these high-priced items in there, but
all right. So it is cut.
I don't think we need to do that.
And we're at 49 XP. Okay, we did it, guys.
Okay. So, that's the good news.
Yeah, all right. So now let's dig back into level 0. So, starting with rogue assets, we've already got Leo DeLuca and Lola Santiago. I think one of the other big enemies, one of the big allies one of the big cards, let's just go with that would feed into this I sit on resources thing would be Dario Elamine. Do you think he's worth looking at? I would argue no, but I'm more interested in your opinion.
I think he's the one people tend to automatically go to for obvious reasons. So if we look at what Dario gives us, what he gives us is +1 will and +1 intellect. But honestly, the static boost I'm not too worried about. The main thing is that he lets you spend an action to gain 2 resources. But I think with Leo DeLuca and with level 4 Hot Streak, I think those are kind of doing Dario's job for us, in my opinion.
Okay.
Skull.
No, I'm not arguing with you at all.
I just one more thing to add, because I think the pairing of like Leo and Dario is nice, because then you spend Leo's extra action to take Dario's resources. But we have Leo and Lola, and there's no way I'm cutting Lola. So
very good. Okay. So moving on then, I assume since we didn't want level 2 Hard Knocks, we're not going to take level 0 Hard Knocks.
Nope.
Okay. Talk to me about Joey.
So because of the way we went, I'm not going to argue hard to include him. Because basically what Joey the Rat lets you do.
No, he's not such a good guy now, is he?
Well, because it's the complete opposite build. So Joey the Rat you want to use only in Spendy Preston. And that build is basically you want card draw, you want to draw as many items per turn, and you're just spamming them with Joey the Rat. So you're throwing out stuff like the Keepsake and Leather Coat and flashlights and all that good stuff. But that all requires a lot of money. And Joey the Rat himself puts a 1 resource little inflation on the price, so yeah, doesn't fit in our Horde Smaug build.
Very good. We've already got Leo. Lone Wolf, I feel like meh. Like it's fine, it's good, and when we're on our own we'll get resources, but I feel like we could just do other things with the card slots since we're already getting 5 a turn.
Yeah, the problem is in 3 or 4 player. I'm running it in 2 player. Again, spendy build, and you're likely to set it up, but in 4 player, 3 player, it's harder to get away.
Okay. We'll leave it out. We'll go ahead and leave out Lucky Cigarette Case because, again, 49 XP, card draw. That's the thing. Stealth, I'm not going to argue we put it in this build, but pro tip to anyone building Preston to take into TCU, Stealth brings most of the enemies in that box down to 0 evade. FYI. Look a little bit harder on that card than you have in the past.
Yeah, it's kind of like a evade flashlight. Not exactly, but yeah.
Yeah, I see the comparison.
Yeah.
Okay, so then moving to events.
Oh, so
I'm out of here.
Well connected.
Sorry, go ahead.
Since we are doing the Horde build, then we should probably throw.
Sorry, I already had well connected in there.
Okay.
Correct.
There we go.
Because we went out of order earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm out of here.
We're playing standalone, so.
Yeah, okay, we're playing standalone, and also we're going to be running double elusive, right?
Yes, we should be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. How about you handle this one?
I like it if we're using willpower as our dump stat.
Okay. I'll put 2 in for now.
I actually really love this in Preston Diana combo because he handles a treachery over to Diana and Diana's just like bye and cancels it. So it's a perfect combo. I love it.
So, I mean, double you handle this one and double test of will. I'm feeling pretty okay about treacheries.
Mm-hmm.
At least about like those few that I'm really worried about.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about backstab? With Streetwise, that seems okay.
Potentially, yeah, with Streetwise and with Well Connected, and if we're taking money talks, that's some tests we can take. I don't know. I don't think I'm as hot on this one with the idea that... No, that's not true, because we're not really going to be able to do big fire axe turns if we have a horde. So we might need some fighty options.
Okay. I'll put a couple in. We'll see where we end up with our combat. Cheap shot? I'm going to argue that generally Preston doesn't do so well with the rogue abilities that like add your stats together. Because, as you may have heard, his stats are kind of ass.
That is an accurate description.
All right. We've got 2 money talks.
Mm-hmm.
Narrow escape? Normally, I really like this card. How do you feel about it in Preston?
I don't know. I feel like the reason I'm hesitant about it is because I've leaned heavily on Live and Learn from Survivor, which does something similar. Obviously, again, it's not exactly the same card, but I'm just thinking about it. Sometimes you use Narrow Escape to bump yourself up by 2. And sometimes I'm doing similar things with Live and Learn, but it's a little bit more flexible.
Okay. So, what, like 1?
Yeah, we can try 1. See where we go.
Okay. Sleight of Hand, I'm not really seeing... I guess we haven't gotten to neutrals and survivor cards yet, but I'm not really seeing any items we would want to pop in and out of play. I'm at a no on Sleight of Hand, personally.
No. Again, this isn't the build for it.
Okay, we'll skip Slip Away. We'll skip level 0 Sneak Attack since we didn't even look at level 2 Sneak Attack. And Think on Your Feet. So then skills... What do you... I'm really out on what I like for skills in Preston. What's your suite?
What am I taking in Preston? I think I've actually been taking more survivor skills is the thing.
I mean, we go cunning for sure, right? Because that's like one of the few cards that actually benefits us for...
Yeah, especially with...
sitting on a bunch of resources.
With hoarding, yeah.
Okay.
We could think about... Double or Nothing, just if we want to help out other investigators and if we get some big stat tests. But I'm not sure. Maybe like a 1-of for now.
Okay. How about Watch This? Do you think that resource generation is needed?
I don't think so.
Okay. And Quick Thinking is the other one that I always like. I always look at it and anyone who can take it. You think we're going to be pushing to high levels and succeeding by 2 very often?
With Streetwise and Well Connected and some of that stuff, yes. We should be able to get some succeed by 2s.
All right,
but
we'll put it in.
Yeah, we can try it. I have a feeling we might cut it, but...
Yep. Okay, moving to Survivor. So no on Baseball Bat.
No on Baseball Bat, yes.
How about Keepsake and or Leather Coat? Well, I'll kind of bunch those together. I feel like his soak is pretty okay with both Lola and Leo. I don't necessarily feel the need to include either of those to help with soak.
Yeah, if I was going to take one, I'd probably take the Keepsake and not the Leather Coat.
Sure. Do you want to
depending
take
on
the keepsake?
campaign. Let's throw it in for now.
Okay. Dark Horse.
Nope.
I mean,
yeah, that's a hard
anathema to our goal here. So, dig deep. No. Fire Axe, of course.
Yeah. The thing with Fire Axe is even if we're not getting the 2 damage because we're hoarding, it's still a way for him actually to fight and get some damage there.
Perfect. Shovel, probably not.
No. It's one I'd love in my Joey the Rat build, but probably not.
Lantern, probably not because of the fact that we're probably going to be taking Flashlight.
Yeah.
And for reasons that we'll talk about when we get there.
Mm-hmm.
Madame Lebranche, no. Newspaper, Peter, Rabbit's Foot. No card draw. So I don't feel like there are any other Survivor assets we want.
I don't think so.
Moving to events. I was just going to suggest Look What I Found, but what I think we should do is take Look What I Found, but pretend it's the card that we just spoiled on Look What I Found called Intel Report.
Sure, I'm down with that. So, 2 Intel reports.
All right, let's see. Chance encounter, no. Act of desperation. Oh, the chat is calling out that we're being too chicken on card draw.
I'm still gonna push for take heart, so we'll get to the card draw.
Okay, all right, so we'll get there.
Yeah.
Okay, act of desperation, probably not. Not really running any assets that we'd want to dig back out, right?
No.
Not enough to warrant that card, anyway. Mm-hmm. Bait and switch, Cunning distraction, I will pretty much always argue for a one of in Preston.
Yeah.
Multiplayer Preston.
Yeah. I could see situations where you get a big crowd, you need to evade all at once.
Dumb luck, meh. Fight or flight? Meh.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I love fight or flight, but I don't think it goes here.
I don't think it goes here. A hiding spot, which is a card that I've really come around to in low player counts, I don't think does as much. It's not really doing what this deck wants to do, so let's go with that.
Yeah.
Impromptu barrier, improvised weapon, meh. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Live and learn. We've already got level 2 lucky. We've already got a narrow escape. Do we think we have any space for a live and learn? Probably not.
I thought... Oh, we did take 1 narrow escape. I do like live and learn for Preston.
Why?
The reason why is because sometimes Preston really devotes a lot of stuff to one test. And if you get to attempt it again, the thing is you lose a lot of that stuff, but at least you get another shot at it at +2.
Sure.
Okay. I don't know if that's a compelling enough argument, but I have found it useful in Preston so far.
All right, we'll put it in.
But with level 2 lucky, we might not need it, but we'll see.
Level 0, oops, super no, perseverance, waylay, meh. I do still like winging it.
Get some
just to help out on the clue side. We may or may not end up cutting it, depending on what our other stuff looks like, but particularly if we end up throwing back in any more card draw, that gets better.
Okay.
Okay, and then neutral experience cards. No, we already went through all these. Right?
Yes. For events?
No, neutral level 0 cards. There we go. That's what we're missing.
Oh, did we look at Survivor skills? We didn't, right?
Oh, that's right. I skipped over Take Heart. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Where's my Take Heart? Let's see. I'm looking through the rest. Not without a fight. No. Able-bodied. No. Last chance. Resourceful.
I don't mind Stunning Blow with a Fire Axe, Preston, because then that can be like a de facto... I mean, you guys know what Stunning Blow does. I don't mind it in Preston because he can usually hit. As long as he's got Fire Axe out, he can usually at least hit a fight test.
Right. Let's see. I'm looking at what survivor cards we have for resourceful's sake. What would we want to recur? A lot
Test of Will, Exiles.
Yeah, Flare, Exiles, unless it fails.
I don't think we take it.
Live and Learn, Lucky.
Take Heart, maybe.
Stroke of Luck, Take Heart, maybe. A Stroke of Luck, Exiles as well. I don't know if there's enough targets for it, even though I love Resourceful. Yeah.
I don't think we take it. Rise to the Occasion, though, I feel fits in the slot that Unexpected Courage normally occupies for most investigators.
Yep, agreed.
Perfect. Oh, and where are you at on Stunning Blow? I think is the last one we look at.
Stunning Blow. I like the idea of it.
All right, one of. Okay.
That's my diplomatic way. I'm like, I like the idea of
yeah,
it.
It'll get cut, but I like that we considered it.
Sure. Okay, neutral cards, level 0.
Backpack, meh.
No.
Fine clothes, maybe. Like, this is one you could easily flex in and out depending on what you're bringing this to.
Mm-hmm.
I think without the or in the absence of knowing that there are going to be important parlay tests, let's just leave it out.
Sure. Yeah.
Ian, why don't you tell everyone why we really love Flashlight while I go refill my drink?
Okay. So Flashlight is going to be a hard yes for us for two main reasons. One, just in general, it's really good with Preston because if you hit a 2-shroud location, it knocks it down to 0, which means even though Preston is at his measly 1 intellect, he will still pass anything unless you draw the auto fail. So you pretty much have a great shot at succeeding. So that's reason number 1. Reason number 2 is Flashlight is pretty amazing with Lola Santiago. The reason why is because Lola's action, in case you forgot, is a free trigger to exhaust her, spend X resources, discover 1 clue at your location. X is the shroud of your location. And so what happens is you start your Flashlight test. You start the investigate. It's basically going to drop the shroud by 2. And then while you're within that test, you can take your free trigger of Lola, because you can take free triggers. And then you can basically the cost, the resources you spend with Lola will get that -2 discount. So all of a sudden, instead of paying 3 to get a clue off the location for Shroud 3, all of a sudden you're only spending 1. So it's good stuff.
And we like it.
We like it a lot.
And while Flashlight might not be a thing you take in like a primary clover, generally you want something with a little bit more staying power. A flex slot in Preston with Lola Santiago,
yeah,
I think it's worth it.
Yeah, it's a good combo. I really feel like Lola's gonna be part of the heart of our deck. Is Lola and Flashlight and Skeleton Key that will be able to pay for clues while not spending too much of our hoard is kind of the goal.
Okay. Knife, kukri, meh.
No.
Painkiller, smoking pipe, meh. Thermos, definitely not. Trench coat,
No, I don't think so.
Events, calling in favors. I don't think we're running enough allies to warrant that.
Yeah, we got a flare for ally fetching duty.
Given that we're running 2 hot streaks, I'm going to guess that we're a hard no on level 0 quiche.
Mm-hmm.
All right, how about neutral skills? I'm passing on all of them personally, but
I'm right there with you, which is more and more a common occurrence for me, but especially for this deck. because Rise to the Occasion is doing Unexpected Courage's job, which is the one skill that I really look at these days for neutrals.
And I want to take a moment to note that, and not like I'm saying we're like the smartest deck builders out there, and that this is the only way to do things, but I want to note the fact that we're sitting here putting our heads together, and neither one of us is really arguing for those neutral skills. Guys, the card pool has expanded to the point where the neutral skills are just kind of meh, and like they're getting out of the way for more interesting cards, and we should all appreciate and love that.
Yeah, and you certainly can still build good decks that use them, and it depends on Investigator. But I'll say, as someone who I feel like was a pretty big champion of the neutral skills in the early life of the game, I think one of the only decks I published on Arkham DB was like a roll-in core deck that used a ton of neutral skills, and it worked really well. But since then, I think just a lot of the class skills are doing some of the same jobs, or better job.
The triangular structure of the Holy Trinity has slowly started to degrade, and I think that Unexpected Courage is the last hanger-on. And it's still finding its way into a fair few of my decks, but more and more decks have another cool option for what that card wants to do, and I love it. So, Okay, cut time.
Oh boy! So we are at, how many cards do we have?
We're only at 51. This isn't too bad. We can do this.
I've had worse.
Oh, I've had way worse. Okay, so in the hand slot, this is super easy. We've got Fire Axe and Flashlight.
Yep.
I think they both stay 2 of.
I think so too.
Excellent. In the accessory slot, we've got 2 Cherished Keepsake and 1 Lucky Dice. I'm gonna double down on what I said earlier. I don't think we need the soak. I move to cut Cherished Keepsake.
I'm fine with that.
Lovely. Moving into the ally slot, we've got 2 Leo DeLucas and 2 Lola Santiagos. So all the rogue allies have very exotic names, and they're wonderful.
We're gonna hold on to them.
Yes, we will. Nothing gets cut here, right?
No, yeah, definitely not.
All right. All right, so then moving into other assets, we've got Skeleton Key, which I quite like.
Mm-hmm.
So that stays. Well Connected is one of the key cards for sitting on a bunch of resources.
Yes.
So I feel like we got to keep that.
So what do you, with the caveat that neither of us admittedly have played Horde, Preston, what do you think?
Smaug Preston, please.
Smaug Preston. What do you think is the goal with Well Connected? Like, what kind of bonus are you trying to get? It's for every 5 resources. So let's say you're at 20, then you're getting +4, right? So it's putting his skill at 5. 30 would put you at +6, which is putting you at 7.
I mean,
what are you aiming for in your Horde?
I feel like if I can get to +4, I'm happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because then on the important test, you can throw a couple of icons down, or streetwise for the rest. And if you end up getting higher than that, then it's just gravy.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like, if you had an investigator that had 5 in any skill for a potential test, I think you'd be happy with that. And if you had 4, I think you'd be happy with that. So, yeah, I think kind of 20 is the goal, and then everything in between. 30 would be nice, and in between is like your slush to pay for stuff. Sounds right.
Oh, did you hear that?
No.
It was the quiet sound of our 90 minutes squeaking by.
Is it really? Oh boy. We can still make a respectable showing.
Okay, so we're keeping Well Connected.
Yes, yeah.
So 2 Look What I Found are standing in for Intel Report. I think Intel Report stays in. Okay. To the point where I don't think we're going to add Look What I Found to this deck, are we? Should we do that separately? I didn't even think about that.
I think we have enough clue stuff between Lola and Flashlight and Skeleton Key and Streetwise and Intel Report. Yeah, I don't...
That's a long list. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you handle this one. Currently at 2 of.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I would be comfortable going down to 1 of, personally.
Sure. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that.
We also probably need to decide right now, like, what is our resolve to stick to 49 experience, or are we going to consider our experience cards for cutting?
Ooh, that is a good question. I think we got to stick to 49 XP.
Okay, then let's do it.
Okay.
So we're keeping Test of Will because we're losing you handle this one, I feel.
Yeah, for sure.
Keeping ace in the hole. Currently at 2 backstab. I'd be comfortable going down to 1 here and maybe looking at another cut later.
I think so. I think if anything, it'd be like 1 major attack that you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Cunning Distraction. I want to keep it in for now. Let's round back.
It's a good Preston card, so we want to hold on to it as long as we can.
Double Elusive. I think it should get really tight before we look at cutting that card.
Yeah, agreed.
Double Flare. What I like about this is this actually kind of stands in a little bit for backstab. Actually, a lot bit for backstab. Because it's helping us with our allies to get those out, and then, if we've already got an ally out and we don't need to worry about it, then this is a 3 damage attack that we start at 4 on, and it only goes up from there. So it's pretty much doing the same thing as backstab, and I'm gonna say as a result we should cut backstab.
Sure, yeah. I'm fine with that. Yeah, it's doing a similar job.
Okay.
Casey's
we're already down to 46 cards.
Casey's asking an interesting question about you handle this one. What's the one card that you don't want to outright cancel but still want someone to deal with? Like, what are you planning to use you handle this one? For me, the answer to that is really annoying treacheries that go into your threat area and are hard to get rid of for 1 Will Preston, but that aren't necessarily like a knockout card that you might be saving your Test of Will for. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
I'm thinking if like we're fixing to do a heckin' cluing, as Preston often does based on how we're building him, like any enemy.
Sure, yeah, that too.
Like we've got stuff to deal with enemies when they happen, because inevitably enemies happen, but I feel like we're gonna try to avoid them when we can, right?
Mm-hmm. Preferably, yeah.
Ideally. Okay. Okay, so we'll keep that as is for now. Live and learn. Oh wait, sorry. So we're skipping by Hot Streak because I assume we're Smaug. We're just playing that.
Yeah. I'm okay cutting Live and Learn. I like it a lot in Preston, but we have level 2 Lucky.
Cool. Money Talks. Again,
gotta
one
keep
of the key cards that's rewarding us for holding on to a ton of cash.
Mm-hmm.
Narrow Escape, I feel like we can get rid of.
I think so. Let's check it.
Okay, and despite my normal love of it, I think winging it is unnecessary in this build.
Yeah, agreed. I think we have clue stuff. Now the mountain of skills.
We're only at 11. I feel like we're going to have to cut from events. The events are going to be the hardest cuts in the end, because I feel like we've cut down our assets. Like, there's really no fat to be trimmed there.
No, definitely not.
All the pain's coming out of skills and events.
Yeah.
Okay. So currently for skills, we're running 2 cunning, which
makes sense.
Okay, so let's talk about this.
Okay.
My instinct tells me that this is one of the cards that rewards us for sitting on 10 or more resources, so we keep it.
I'm with you there.
But this boosts the same stats that spending 2 resources on a Streetwise boosts.
Sure. Or potentially.
I don't think we need it.
Or potentially Well Connected is doing that job.
Yes.
Or
I feel like this is great at level 0. This deck doesn't need it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm there with you. Is
All right,
it
cutting out?
Yeah. Would you go as so far to say is it's a trap for this kind of build? Like
It might be.
It wants you to take it. It's like screaming like this is for a horde build. But do you truly need it?
Maybe someone who doesn't have access to Streetwise looks at it a little bit harder, but I think Streetwise you just pull so much more value out of. If it didn't target the same stats, I would feel differently, but it's the exact same stats, so
yeah, if that was like a will boost or combat or something, yeah.
And again, if this were a level 0 build, those would almost definitely stay in, but we've got it covered now.
Yeah, agreed.
One double or nothing currently. I'm fine keeping that in for now.
Yeah,
that might get cut.
It might, yeah.
Too quick thinking. So let's look at what skill test do we think we're just going to be nailing? Like, okay, if we swing with a fire axe, we're probably going to spend all 3 that we can and just go really high on that. So that's a possibility.
Investigate tests a lot of times if you're pumping it with Streetwise or well connected or something. Potentially evade tests for similar reasons. I think the big thing is this is basically an action card giving us more actions. Do we feel like this build needs more actions in its current state? Preston can be kind of action hungry, especially if you have to keep transferring money over, which is why we have Leo.
So do you think the fact that we've gone with Leo lessens the need for quick thinking?
Potentially, yeah. I think without Leo, we might be more tempted to take it.
All right, so let's just do the painful thing and cut it.
Okay.
I love that card, but gone.
Yeah, again, it goes back to what I said earlier that I don't think Preston is like the action spammy Gator that other rogues can be. I mean, not that he can't do it, but he just plays a little differently.
Well, and I think maybe the I pay for lots of things all the time Preston is different from the I try to sit on money Preston, and I think the former takes that card more readily. Because
with well connected, that's one skill test per turn, pretty much. You get some money talks, you can boost other stuff, but really Preston is trying to nail like 1 or 2 actions per turn. He's not trying to like take 6 actions and take 6 different tests. Like, that's not Preston.
Agree. Okay, so that's gone. So currently we're at 2 Rise to the Occasion and 1 Stroke of Luck. I personally feel they kind of occupy the same space. How are you feeling?
They do? Yeah.
Want to cut 1 Rise to the Occasion and see where we end up?
Sure.
Just pretend that Stroke of Luck sits where the other one used to.
Sure.
1 Stunning Blow. I love it, but I feel like we can cut it. If you want to evade something, you get other ways to do it.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's a card for a different investigator or build.
All right, and then 2 Take Heart. And we're down to 5 skills now, so we cut some serious fat out of that section.
We really did.
So I'm not going to bug you on the Take Heart. Okay, so the complication that those resources go on the inheritance, has that ever been a sticking point in your experience? Because I've yet to take Heart in Preston.
No, but again, I'm spending quickly. I think it would be fine in... I don't think it'd be too much of a complication. Like, it's 2 resources on family inheritance that you can quickly roll those into like a streetwise test. That's good for a +3 on something that turn instead of needing to transfer it over.
Okay. Okay. You feel like we have enough ways to spend down from the inheritance if we should need to?
Yeah, for sure.
And hell, it's not like you ever need to. Like, in the grand scheme of
Sure.
things, if we are at some point sitting on 20 resources and we lose 2 because we played a Take Heart because we needed the cards, like...
Yeah, it's not that...
We're still okay.
Yes. Yeah, agreed.
Okay. So rounding back to Rise the Occasion, Casey brings up a good question here, a valid question for evaluating that card's place in this deck. What are we holding on to that card for? What are we hoping for? What will happen when we're like, yeah, I've got rise to the occasion, buddy. I was ready for it.
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess it pretty much has been two things for me: a will backup and to do investigating. But again, that's been at lower XP levels in my Preston build. Mm-hmm. Whereas in this thing, I don't think you need those pips for investigating. So it'd be mostly a will treachery kind of thing that you're trying to nail.
Okay.
But we've kind of said we're going to tank those with the exception of a test of will, and you handle this one.
Okay. Do you think we cut that last rise to the occasion and just go with our... Because we've got so many things to pivot if we need to hit a specific skill test.
Sure. Yeah, I think we can cut it.
I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I've not played this deck, but it seems like it.
Yeah. Seems to make sense.
Okay, so that gets us down to 34 cards.
Oh, boy.
So now we've got the painful cuts. Now we're cutting into flesh here.
Yeah, we have cut our skills down to the bone. And now we got to look at those events.
Yeah, I know we barely have any skills left. We're at 4. And 2 of them aren't really real skills. They're there to fail.
We started with what, like 10 or 12 skills, something like that. Okay, so events.
I feel like that's where most of it has to come from.
So we gotta cut. What is it? Four cards we gotta cut.
Yeah, I feel like I can let Cunning Distraction go. I love it, but I don't know. It's so nice to have that bomb, though, and it's 2 willpower icons.
Especially in 3 or 4 player, yeah. When you can just automatically evade.
All right, well, I poked that particular Jenga piece and it's kind of firm, so let's move on to the next one.
You handle this one?
Yeah, probably.
I like it for Preston a lot, but...
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So let's look at for a quick second.
Okay.
Before we cut, you handle this one.
Okay.
Let's look at what options we currently have in the deck for dealing with a nasty willpower test. Because I feel like that's the biggest thing we're afraid of off the encounter deck right now where we sit.
Okay. So what's the worst case scenario? Okay, I'll tell you what the worst case scenario, because I recently encountered it with Preston. He drew 3 rotting remains in a row, 3 different Mythos phases, because there was a way for the encounter deck to recur treacheries.
Oh my god, you know what?
3 rotting remains in a row.
Separate discussion topic. But I feel like one of the biggest threats that no one talks about in the encounter deck are the words "shuffle the discard pile into the encounter deck." Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah,
it's. I think it's a bigger problem than anyone realizes.
I hard agree on that. You feel like you got past these cards, and then you see that, and it's like a punch to the gut. So is that the worst case scenario for Preston? Is a bomb treachery that deals a bunch of horror in one fell swoop?
Oh, because the thing is like if we need to hit an agility test, we can.
Mm-hmm.
If we need to hit an intellect test, we can.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How many treacheries need you to hit a fight test? Like, it's so few and far between, it's not even worth really planning for,
I can't even think of one offhand. Usually ones that, like, go on a location or something. But usually those ones will have another option. Like, locked door, you can pick the lock. Or you're in multiplayer, so you tell the meathead to go take care of it for you.
That. Valid strategy.
Rogue pro tip. Yeah, I think that's the main thing, is it's really like horror dealing that's going to really put you under pressure, especially because we don't have... we took out the chair's keepsakes. So in that case...
So if I'm looking at the tools we have to hit a key willpower test, I'm looking at well connected, can boost our skill, in the Mythos phase, that's fine.
Yep.
Test of will can just cancel it. Lucky maybe if the numbers line up.
It can take some bite off of it at least.
Yeah.
If it's like
money talks.
Yeah, money talks.
Sure gamble, probably. Again, if the number, like if you're at 1 and you draw a -1, that's probably not going to help you. But most of the time, sure gamble should probably help.
Mm-hmm.
And then stroke of luck. Yeah.
And
Do you think that's a big enough suite to handle the nasty ones?
It sounds like it. It sounds like we have a good list.
I think
so. I don't know in practice, but it sounds like it. Let me take a look at our
I think we're okay to cut. You handle this one.
Let's take a look at our icons, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Despite the fact
boy.
that we're like the richest investigator in the game, our curve is actually okay. Like, we have a lot of 2-cost cards, but everything else is fine.
We have about 5 billion intellect icons and nothing else.
Yes,
we have 3 willpower icons, 3 combat icons, and 4 intellect icons. But that being said, I think I'm okay with cutting. You handle this one.
Okay. So that puts us at 33. We can do this. I mean, your mileage may vary. If you like fun, keep it in. But I feel like we can afford to cut cunning distraction.
Yes. Yeah. It's hard.
It's so tough.
It's hard to part with because it's like now we finally have a good reason to play cunning distraction, and it's good.
And it's so bomb, but I mean, if we're being like brutally honest with ourselves, if we're being like best friend intervention, you need help, honest with ourselves, the times where it's going to pull the weight to justify its existence are going to be fewer and farther between, right?
I think so. Yeah.
And if we ever personally need to evade anything, we are already set up to do it.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Oh, it's. Oh God, these last cuts do cut straight into flesh. That puts us at 32.
Oh boy, 2 more. Where were we gonna find?
I'm spent. What do you think?
God, there's nothing to cut, especially with these XP cards. For level 0s, the only thing we have left is Intel Report, Backstab, Elusive, and Money Talks. Is that right?
Wait, you have Backstab in there?
Oh, did we take that out? Okay.
I took that out. I'm at 32. Are you at 32?
Yeah, this is, I thought I took it out. I guess Arkham DB didn't register it.
Oh, the Deebs.
Anyway, so yeah, that makes it even worse then. So we have, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We did take out Backstab because we said Flair's doing the same job. Elusive, Intel Report, or Money Talks. Those are all essential cards.
Can we afford one elusive? Like Or do we make Scott a sad panda and maybe look at taking out an experience card?
How much do we want to make Scott sad? The chat is rising up in protest now.
Casey, what's even the point? Okay, fine. 49 experience. Given that direction of the level 0 cards that we have, I feel like one elusive is okay to cut.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a matter of taking one out of... Yeah, so one elusive, and then we have to go down to one copy of either Money Talks or Intel Report.
And I think between the two, I'd rather go down to one Intel Report.
Yeah.
Because it's not like we're taking it upon ourselves to be Kluver.
Sure.
And even if we we're still rocking Lola, we're still rocking Flashlight, we're still rocking Streetwise.
Yeah,
I think one Intel Report is okay.
Yeah, we're still doing similar work to Intel Report with Lola.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whew, and that's 30.
Okay.
That was rough.
That was tough, but we
really
did
rough.
it. I'm so curious to try this out now.
So running through the final deck list,
Yes.
I'll put this up on Arkham DB after we wrap tonight. With the name TBD. But the list is thus. Your assets are 12. 2 Fire Axe, 2 Flashlight, 1 Lucky Dice, 2 level 1 Leo DeLuca, 2 level 3 Lola Santiago, 1 Skeleton Key, too well connected. Permanents, we've got Charisma, Family Inheritance, and Streetwise. Events, we've got 1 Intel Report, 2 Test of Will, 1 Ace in the Hole, 1 Elusive, 2 Flare, 2 Hot Streak, a Lodge Debts, 2 Level 2 Lucky, to keep this at 49 XP, 2 Money Talks, 1 Sure Gamble, 1 Double or Nothing, 1 Stroke of Luck, and 2 Take Heart.
Nice.
So, the thing we didn't mention at the top of the episode that we probably should have is that Scott has actually pledged. He's got an invocation event tomorrow. He has pledged to take whatever deck comes out of this little meeting of minds and play it at his invocation event tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we're gonna draw him his basic weaknesses.
So
here we go.
So am I rooting for bad weaknesses or good ones?
I mean, yes. I kind of want both. Okay, so we've got 49 XP, which means we need to take 5 total basic weaknesses, correct?
What's the over-under on some paranoias getting in there?
All right, random weakness number 1. Mob Enforcer. Easy.
Okay, yeah, we
Easy.
can pay
Softball.
him off. Pay him off, no problem.
Softball. Okay. Weakness number 2. Silver Twilight Acolyte. Ooh, not as easy.
Well, a little rougher, and 2 enemy weaknesses in the deck.
Number 3. This is the thing that follows.
Oh my god!
What a train wreck.
This is called Guardians Have Fun, is the name of this deck.
If we pull Stubborn Detective, this is just meant to be.
This is ridiculous.
All right, let me add another random in here.
Oh, man.
Psychosis.
Okay. I'm generally not too bothered when I get that one.
Yep. All right, and last random basic weakness. Drawing the Sign.
Yeah,
Yeah, that one's in the middle of the pack, I feel.
not the worst. No, not the worst that Preston could get.
And I feel like this deck is not bursting with card draw. It's not going to run at like 8 cards all the time, so that one's not the worst.
Right, yeah, I got Drawing the Sign in Min, and it kind of was very annoying.
All right, so with the weaknesses drawn, the last thing to do is to name this monstrosity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to rail for Millionaire with a Fire Axe, unless there's something funnier that we can come up with.
Yeah, go for it.
No resistance at all.
Subtitle, Guardian Friends Get Wrecked, because you're going to have to deal with 3 enemy weaknesses on the board.
All right. Name it R.I.P. Scott. Okay, yep, there it is. Fair enough.
The album that Patrick Bateman talks about.
Oh, I still have never seen American Psycho, and I'm a little sad.
Is it Huey Lewis in the News? I think. Yeah, I don't remember the album though.
Oh, you mean the only Huey Lewis in the News album, Sports? The one.
I am not up on my Huey Lewis in the News trivia.
All right. Well, chat says it's hip to be a square. Or Hip to Be Square. Sorry, Hip to Be a Square was the, of course, the Sesame Street spin-off from Hip to Be Square.
Oh gosh, now I'm picturing Preston as American Psycho.
Okay, so that will be out on Arkham DB. Go ahead and look out for R.I.P. Scott Preston. I'm actually kind of excited to see how this goes. This might work.
Yeah, I don't.
It seems like it's one of those builds that's crazy enough that it might work.
I feel like it can do some work, especially on the clue front. Yeah.
And like it seems like the consummate flex to me. Like, hey, I need to be over here swinging my fire axe at this enemy to help. I can do that. Mm-hmm. Oh, really high shroud location over here that needs clues off of it. I can do that. Mm-hmm. Like, it seems like an excellent 3rd or 4th player in any game.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, go ahead and give that deck an old like and favorite on the old Arkham Deebs if you want to help our Mythos Busters. What is it? is it reputation? Is that what the imaginary internet points on ArkhamDB are called?
I believe so. Yeah, reputation.
We're doing okay. Our crazy deck builds that we do on the episodes get a little bit of traction, but I don't think anyone takes us terribly seriously. Okay, so moving on from there, let's just move it into tentacle time, yo. Ian, what hath thou been doing with thine free time?
As we creep up on the 2-hour mark, 90 minutes went far behind us. What have I been doing? Couple things. One is I finished True Detective Season 3. So all of you need to catch up now so we can have a discussion at some point.
It's all out, right?
Yep. The season finale came out.
I will make a decided effort to binge it, aside from trying to watch through Ozark and also with my goal of trying to get caught up. Not caught up, but refresh myself on Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that'll happen.
Yeah, that's true. Game of Thrones is coming soon, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Sorry to add that to your to-do list.
Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty up. I remember where we're at this story, but yeah. We'll see. It's been so long. Has it been 2 years?
At least one. It's 1 and change.
Oh, man. Yeah. Okay, so the other thing I've done, I'm going to give a shout out to a board game that is very like the indiest of indie, because there's only like 100 copies made of it, I believe. So I'm not sure how much it'll help people to actually have me talk about it, but I think you can contact the designer and get it if you're so interested. So this is a game called Club Stories. So people who are faithful listeners will know that I am a fan, a diehard supporter of soccer, and have been for a long time. So this is actually yeah. So this is actually a soccer board game, which I have quite a few. It's kind of a little subset of my hobby, as I've collected a lot of soccer board games in search of one that does a good job. And this actually might be my favorite of them all. So, unlike a lot of soccer board games that are kind of trying to actually recreate like one particular match, this one puts you in the shoes of like you are the coach. So you actually go through a whole season and you sign players. You have to find spots.
Is it a drafting game?
Yeah, it definitely has a drafting mechanic on it. So you have like a deck of players that you have to basically draft, and sponsors that are going to give you money. So it's kind of like an engine building game. So I think even some people who aren't necessarily soccer fans might enjoy it, because you have to make lots of tough decisions. Do I get better coaches? Do I find sponsors that are going to give me more money? Do I try to please the fans so that the crowds get bigger? So you play through a season as kind of one game. And it doesn't take too long. It's pretty challenging, but lots of fun. And back in my early 20s days, I used to play a computer game called Football Manager that is basically doing a similar thing where you're controlling a team and being the manager and doing all this stuff. So I was pretty pleased to find a board game equivalent, since I do much more tabletop gaming these days. And so again, yeah, this was designed by Thomas Janssen, I believe. I think he is from Germany, I believe. I don't want to get it wrong, but...
Oh, that's why it's not pronounced Johnson.
Yeah. He designed, like I said, he did this, the one I got is 2nd edition, and there was like 100 copies, but I think if you're interested, you can find him on Board Game Geek and message him, and he probably has some copies he is still selling. So yeah, that is kind of the newest game that I've actually found time to play.
I love that the board game industry still has a very healthy cottage section. Like, for how much is taken off, and I mean corporatized, it's like nothing compared to the bigger industries, but it's still it's becoming more and more corporate. Hi, Asmodee. It's really nice to see the small guys who are still putting their stuff out there, and like you can just buy it straight from the person who developed it, and that still happens.
Yeah, and it lets people cover these more like niche topics that probably the bigger board game companies aren't going to touch, because they're kind of
because
they're banking on
doesn't have a big enough target demo.
Right, they're banking on licenses, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, whatever it may be, or they're banking on, the Euro games are banking on, let's throw another Mediterranean trading theme on there. But these kind of very niche things, it's nice.
How many training montage cards come in these games?
Training montage. Well, there's definitely lots of training that takes place for sure. One of the cool mechanics is like you can scout the other team to see like how they're gonna line up and do that. But instead of actually just like looking at their card, the back of the card has like a quote from your scout saying like this is how they play. So it kind of gives you an idea, but doesn't tell you exactly what their lineup is going to be. So I don't know. There's cool little touches to the game. You can tell it's someone who really like knows the game and a work of passion putting those little elements into it.
And that's exactly what I think. That's where you really start to feel corporatism, is when you start to feel the lack of that personal passion, that craft that goes into that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
So it's funny, you were sitting there going, oh, well, I really like soccer in real life. It'd be cool if there was a board game of it. And I'm sitting here going like, well, do they make a board game about card games? Is that a thing that they do? And Dan just mentioned Millennium Blades in the old chat here, and that's one that I really, really, really need to check out. It's been on my to-do list for a very long time. It's just hard to really set aside the actual card games I'm playing to play a board game about playing card games.
Yeah, that's always the struggle of finding any time other than Arkham Horror or Lord of the Rings in my schedule to get something. So any game that can be played and set up and broken down quickly has a better chance of that. I'll say that much.
Yeah. True story. So I think for my part, the only real thing I'd have to announce, I finished Red Dead Redemption. I actually think I mentioned that on the last episode. It was a saga in my life. Like I played that game. It was a good chunk of my free time for an entire calendar quarter. So that was a thing.
Gosh.
Well, I mean, what? It came out in early September? That was a half a year. Never mind. Closer to a half a year than a calendar quarter.
I'm still so far behind you.
Oh, I'll be excited to see what happens when you're done. And then we'll eventually get around to recording that Mythos bonus episode on Red Dead Redemption, if like the 6 people who would actually be interested in listening to that would listen to it. So after that gaping hole came into my life, I started up the new God of War. It's quite good. It's quite fun. I'm very excited to see where it goes. I'm still kind of in like the early stages where the world is small and it's still introducing you to its elements and its sensibilities, but
sure.
I feel like it's going to explode soon. But really, other than that, I'm readying for a home renovation project right now. We're having like 3/4 of the carpet in our house swapped out next week, so that's pretty much all I've been up to.
Not as fun. Yeah, God of War is next on my queue after Red Dead Redemption as well. So I'm trailing behind you. I'll get there eventually.
Ian.
Mm-hmm.
I know I throw a lot of things at you.
Yes.
The other thing that's actually kind of caught a lot of my attention lately is Bloodborne. Oddly enough, again, I've fallen back into listening to like lore videos and like how you do a build and like all these different ways you can play, and like it's just such a goddamn rabbit hole, and the game is so deep and rewarding. So I've fallen back into that again. Damn you, Nick and Peter.
Yeah, somewhere Nick sat up very excitedly for no reason.
My point in bringing it up, though, is at a certain point, you and I have to play Bloodborne. I will co-op it with you.
Nice.
And make it... I mean, I'm not great, but I'll make it easier.
Sure.
And that's one I think you'll like, too. Provided you can put the time into it. That's always the issue with that game, is you just gotta... There's a bit of a hill to climb to get, baseline good.
Yeah, and I have not played any of the Dark Souls Bloodborne games, so I'll be fresh to it. Fresh meat. is the term, I think.
Tender meat.
Fresh. And I saw
Fresh meat.
that Spider-Man's price went down too, so I still gotta play Spider-Man so much.
Oh yeah, that's right, Spider-Man. Oh, God, PlayStation had such a good year.
Yeah, they really did.
Such a good year in 2018.
Yeah, and that's why I have so many games. And because I only recently got my PS4, I have a big backlog of all these like signature games that everyone has talked about over the years, like the Uncharted games, like The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's just there's so many that I need to catch up on. So if only I had the time.
Would it make it easier if we like co-played it and I sat there coaching you and we turned it into like, you could like argue it as social time?
Sure.
So you wouldn't need to feel so bad at like playing 4 hours of Uncharted.
It could be, yeah. There's always ways to maneuver it.
All right, so the last thing I'll mention is Anthem dropped, and it has its issues like any MMO does. I'm not gonna get into the whole BioWare good, BioWare bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
What I will say is the skeleton of the game as it exists is very solid. It obviously has a long way to go before it's like a AAA award-winning title. But if anyone out there is playing Anthem, hit me up on PSN. I'm NPC421. Because again, PlayStation doesn't let you change your your sign-in name from when you were 20.
Checks
Hit
out.
me up because the few people that I had that I thought were gonna play with me have all bailed.
Mm-hmm.
So for the love of God, if you're at all interested in Anthem, or if you just happen to buy into it and we're like, yeah, maybe I'll wait to play it, like let me know, because I'll play it with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to take it kind of casually because I think one of the reviews that I read out there that I agree with most, kind of the like one line summary of it, is that Anthem will be a great game in a year. And I think that's probably the most balanced and accurate. Like there's the vitriol out there, everyone who wants to hate on the culture of over-promising and under-delivering, and day one DLC and just like all the shit we have to deal with in the modern day of video games. But I feel like the bones are solid. We really just have to dial it in. It's going to be a great game in a year. So anyway, hit me up on PSN if you want to play Anthem. And I'm also playing Apex, so that's there too. I'm terrible at Apex. I'm pretty good at Anthem. And that's always what stops me from going over to these competitive shooters, man, because just like I'll be better at Apex when there's a matchmaking system. Let's go with that.
I feel like that's a realm of digital gaming that I've not explored really, is just multiplayer shooter game stuff. I think the last one I played was Mass Effect 3 probably on a semi-regular basis.
That had really good multiplayer.
Yeah, I like that one.
But again, co-op. Much like Anthem. Ian, Anthem. Anthem. I'll throw one more thing at you.
Okay.
But yeah, so anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this guy up. So, as always, you can get a hold of us, if you like, on our website, which is now just mythosbusters.com. Hell yeah. Check us out on iTunes. If you have a question, comment, gripes, bitch, or moan, you can call us at the Mythosbusters hotline at 203-493-6984. Email us at mythosbusterspod@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Discord, as mentioned previously. And guys, that's all. So thank you so much for joining us for episode Wow, we're going to take that one again. And we won't edit because that's what we do. Thank you for joining us on episode 55 of Mythos Busters, and we'll see you guys next time for 56.
Bye. I had to fill Nick's shoes.
He'll be happy.